More!
Does it matter who we're touching? I want to touch Benson. No, I need him on top of me.
Ooh! Lunch break!
Welcome to a new episode of Lunch Break. We have a special guest in the house.
Hello, everybody. I'm here.
You might know him as Foodwithmichel on Instagram.
Yeah, that's me.
Or just food with for short.
And the last name, Michael.
How appropriate, because we are eating food.
This was a long time coming, I must add. Like, come on. I should have been here a while ago with this food. Come on, let's be real.
So this is your first time on lunch break, so some tips and tricks. The best time to eat is when other people are talking.
Okay, so you guys should keep talking then.
Oh, are you hungry?
You might not actually recognize him because he's most famous for his
Instagram.
What he's holding.
Yeah.
The stuff
That's
he's
true.
holding,
There's
the
not
stuff
really,
he's-
my face doesn't really show unless you guys see my
Right.
stories, but no one would really, I guess, know who I am unless they looked at my stories. So I do run in food Instagram, Food with Michael, and it has been such a crazy ride. I want to say I've been doing this for like 5 years total, collectively.
Dang.
So it's been a while.
It's your full-time job.
It is my full-time job.
I just want to say, like, you're one of the OG food bloggers.
That's very
Like,
true.
I remember like following you back in the day. No, but like legit when you first started. Kudos to you.
Thank you. I think I feel like for sure I've come on Instagram when no one was really around. People were just posting photos of myself. And I, at one point, kept taking photos of food. And I noticed when I was analyzing my feed that my food photos were doing so well. And I was like, well, like, what if I stuck with just food for like 3 months? So I did. And ever since then, like, the rest of
You've
it
been growing?
Wow.
Was that always your handle, Food with Michael?
No.
Oh, yeah.
No, so before all this, just a little brief background of me, I was actually going to school for dentistry. So it's
So it's Teeth with Michael.
very close, actually. It was just dental gamer.
Oh.
So, because I, dental field, and then gamer because I like playing video games, but I was clever and did GAY.
Oh, gamer.
Gamer. Eventually, when I started posting more food, I'm like, well, this is not making sense. So then I was like, well, what can I do with like food?
Smart.
Then I thought, well, people are having food with, right here, me, Michael.
Yeah.
That's how I came up with the name.
Do those two careers ever conflict? Because you post a lot of like desserts and sweets. Do they like clash?
Collide?
Yeah. Or you're just like so far past that now?
So far past that right now that I just don't even think of, like, everything that I eat, it just goes out the window. There's no rules on cavities happening or anything like that. I just eat whatever I feel like.
Must be nice.
Wait, so like back then, were you already like styling them in a certain way, or were you just kind of taking photos just? To take
I was just taking photos just to take photos. And it's just kind of like anything you do in life. Like, you look at your early work and you're like, oh, what the heck was that? When I do look back at my old photos, I'm like, wow, these photos are terrible. How did they do so well? But, I perfected my craft and my aesthetics and the way the food looks over time. So then that's how I feel like you just kind of apply that from then on out. So, and especially when you're editing photos, like, I didn't really know how to edit photos.
But I think that's cool because you're using very user-friendly like technologies and like techniques.
Yeah.
But the way you probably crafted it, it's like you made it work. It looks professional.
Thank you.
Which is cool.
I try to make everything hot Cheeto covered look professional.
I've never had anything hot Cheeto covered. Is it really that great?
I guess it's just like a preference. I think for like, I've had like sushi burritos with hot Cheetos around it and stuff. Like, I can never really taste the Cheetos, but it's more of a texture thing. Like, it's the crunch.
A novelty.
Yeah, and it is a novelty. Everyone loves hot Cheetos. I love hot Cheetos. I like the extra hots.
Actually, with that, I feel like being here in SoCal, like that foodie culture, but the foodie culture is very like trendy,
Yeah.
right? Have you been seeing that change? Like you're like
You've
hot
seen so
Cheetos,
much.
like random churros thrown into like things.
I think there has been a wave of like different food trends. I mean, at one point we all remember when Pinkberry was at the top of the game, then Sprinkles cupcakes, that was at the top, and then everything from Nutella stuff, and then hot Cheeto stuff, and now there's this influx of like churros too. Eventually, it just starts evolving over time. I don't know what the current one is.
It's a lot. It's kind of, yeah, it is kind of crazy how like these trends just like resurface and like even come about. Do you have like a favorite one over the years that like maybe it was cool but also tasted really good?
It's not a trend, I would say. Even though I think people have tried replicating Howlin' Ray's, I do like their food. I think their food is delicious.
Yeah.
And I think that the hype is well deserved. I mean, they definitely make great products. It's crazy how over the past like year, the line's still been an hour and a half every day. But I mean, I think they have great food, and I wouldn't say it's a hype or anything, but because there's so much interest in it, it is considered a hype.
I still haven't tried it yet. For those who don't know what Howlin' Ray's is, it's a fried chicken sandwich.
Hot chicken, right?
It's just not only sandwiches, they also have sandwiches, they have wings, they have chicken and waffles, they have the whole bird if you wanted it.
And it's like
Just saying.
red.
Well, it can be. I'm too much of a wuss. I cannot eat anything past like a medium, and it goes even hotter
They
than
have
that.
the challenge, right? I saw David So and Tim do it for their show.
Right.
Send
They have like
foods.
Howlin' Plus or something. And
That's
like
like
the
the
hottest.
quote when they're like, "What have I done?"
What have I done?
I'm so sorry. Do you feel like most of your audience is in Southern California because like it's kind of centralized here?
I do feel like my audience is definitely SoCal and like LA and Orange County, but I do have obviously outside of that.
Yeah.
A lot of that has to do with SoCal as a whole. It's very foodie centric, so everyone like loves taking photos of not necessarily eating food too, but also taking photos. And especially if it's presented like beautifully, people want to like they just really want to go and take the photo. So there's a bit of a saying that people do it for the gram. Guilty.
Oh yeah. Do you ever feel conflicted? You know, you kind of like lost the original purpose of taking the photos. Like you feel like you're doing it less for the food, but more for Instagram.
I mean, there definitely has been. I mean, there's a lot of cases where the food itself looks better than it tastes. And that's, you know, a sad thing and an unfortunate thing. But at the end of the day, like my job is to present interesting content for people to see. And also I feel like everyone's taste buds are different. So something I may think is too sweet, she may think is perfect, or he may think is too salty. So everyone has their preference. But I do try to present just interesting content overall, just so people can see, whether it's from here or New York or around the world, like I still try to get content regardless.
Going back to the job thing, so what did your parents think when you switched, or do they not know yet?
It's not that they don't know. I haven't told them, but like they're very supportive. So whatever I do, they're just happy. But at the same time, like I haven't told them exactly like this is what I do. And I feel like even if I did tell them, hey, I take photos, they're like, well, for what? And I'd be like, well, for Instagram. I'm like, well, what's Instagram? And it's like a lot of confused because my parents are not tech savvy, so they don't know these things. So I feel like it's a lot of having explained that to that to that to that. And then I should just be like, you know, I just take photos for a magazine. Like, that's just the case. It's this Instagram magazine that they have. So it just helps break it down if I just don't tell them that part in a sense. But you know, it's not that I'm ashamed. Just it's hard to tell them exactly what a food photographer is.
Yeah, I completely agree because it's like that is such a complex way to go, like to get to that understanding, to that endpoint, which would be nice, right? But it's like you have to jump through so many hoops to get to that. It's like might as well just a little white lie, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Because your job literally didn't exist 5 years ago. Like it wasn't a thing.
Yeah, it was not a thing. And lo and behold, I think a lot of my, I guess, success is just a lot of commitment, a lot of time, dedication. And people always ask me like, hey, like how do you know, start a food blogger? I want to start a food blogger. I've been interested. And it's just like, people always say that. And then when I tell them like what to do, they don't realize how hard the work is.
Commitment. I think there's stereotypes too with like food blogging or like, let's say taking photos of food. Like people make fun of like, oh, you're standing on a chair you're being really extra. So there's, I think, that connotation. But are you just kind of like, whatever, throw it out the window, I'm doing my job?
I mean, it's not necessarily just a person standing on a chair or even a table or whatever. There's also a stigma on like Asians like always taking photos of food, and I don't, you know, in the beginning, like of course it like kind of was like, okay, that's kind of weird, but whatever. But I was a little hesitant to take photos like standing on a chair and stuff. But I realized like when I do take photos now, like I'm very smart about when to take photos. I always go to restaurants before like after the lunch rush or before they're gonna like open up for like dinner and like the crowd is gonna come through. So it's usually
socially
empty.
aware.
Yeah, and so it's empty. And then like normally like I don't even take the photos in the restaurant because lighting is so bad. I usually just bring my bowl and I'll just take it outside.
Tips, guys,
you know?
tips.
That's Instagram tips, you know? So I rely heavily on natural lighting. I've actually never used a softbox. I know people do that, but I don't.
It'd be weird if you was carrying this around to restaurants.
No, but I've seen you at work, like once you get the food, like, and like you know the angles already, it's crazy. They're just like, bam, 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 bam. And they see it post like an hour later and you're like, that's
Captions too. It's like,
So normally the thing I normally do before even going to this restaurant, that restaurant, I always know where I'm gonna shoot. So I'll usually get there like 5-10 minutes
oh,
early,
you do a
and
little
then
scout?
a little scouting, and I'll look at like, oh, I can use that trees in the background or these buildings and stuff. I love it when it rains in SoCal or just in general because it creates that like overcast.
Oh, you know,
perfect
that's
lighting.
Oh.
You know, that's
You're
why
an artist.
That's why I love being in Toronto and New York. So I was like, oh, the lighting's so good right now. So, but I always scout where I'm gonna shoot, and then I sometimes do my research on Instagram or Yelp and see like what is the more Instagrammy foods. It sucks because when you have ice cream, it's very time sensitive.
Yeah.
So it melts, like especially if I know like the owner of like an ice cream shop or whatever. I'm like, hey, can you like get a scoop and put it in the freezer overnight and let it like solidify so it really hardens up? I get an extra like I swear maybe 2 minutes, but 2 minutes is a lot of working time for ice cream.
Let's talk about the community. It's always cool when I see you in public, is like, it's usually with a posse. The community of Instagrammers in the foodie community is really big, and you guys all know each other, what it sounds like.
And I think, yeah, we all go in like groups sometimes and we'll do shoots. Because sometimes, especially if you're going on an all-day excursion, like you order so much food and like a lot of times I bring them home and I give to my family and stuff, but sometimes like you don't want to order that exorbitant amount of food and not like be like, okay, what do I do with it now? And I can only give so much to my family too.
Yeah.
So if you have 4 different people, like, okay, well, we all order different things and add different toppings and make it look nice and stuff. So that helps a lot too.
Family style.
How do you guys keep it from getting competitive? Or has it always been just peace and butterflies, rainbows?
I don't feel that because I think I'm in a different realm. A lot of my work relies on, I do, obviously videos and stuff like that, so it's a little bit of in between. I feel like a lot of Instagrammers just stick to Instagram. And that's fine, they're content with just doing Instagram work and that's just their thing. But I feel like for me too, if you look at my feed specifically on Instagram, it's quite different. It's not as food porny. It's a little more clean, a little more refined, so it doesn't look super gluttonous. And
What does that mean?
like a super gooey cheeseburger with cheese dripping down. Like I would never post that because
Accentuating all
right,
these little
right.
features.
And for me, like that's not something I would do. I'm more like the cutesy desserts,
Okay.
especially.
So there's like ratings within. It's like
Yeah.
X-rated food.
yeah, exactly. Like super like gluttonous and fattening or whatever.
Oh, it's also the type of food.
Yeah, so
Okay.
yeah, so like it's a lot of burgers and fries and
Okay.
fried chicken and chicken tenders and super
It's
like
just all yellow.
s-
It's definitely like nice when everyone has their own like style and brand, and like I feel like that's what makes your group work too. It's like no one's kind of crossing into anyone's lane, and you can like appreciate each other's differences and stuff.
Well, I sure learned a lot today.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for educating us on
You're
all
welcome.
things.
I'm glad that I could try and educate you guys on food photography and what to do. And my life, I feel like no one really knows, so this is like a nice little segue to that. So thank you all for having me. I'm enjoying my poke.
But yeah, thanks for inspiring us too. When we see you on Instagram, it pushes us to keep creating and finding natural light as well.
So if you guys want to see more natural light and more food, go check out Food with Michael on Instagram.
I'm glad we got to know the face behind the Instagram.
Account. Thank you guys for having me, seriously.
Don't forget to follow us on social. Until next time, don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, and we'll see you on lunch break next Thursday.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.